Don't let anybody lie to you, my friends. What you can see right here is what prosperity, what wealth, and what good economics looks like. This right here used to all be forest, nobody could live there, everybody hated being around it, and we cut it all down. And then, of course, we started exporting it. You can see it right here in our logging camps, they are doing well, and indeed, we are the number 3, if I'm not mistaken, there we go, number 3 worldwide in producing wood. You can see Russia is, of course, far ahead, but I think we can catch up to them, then the Great Qing, and then there is us. I am so incredibly happy as we are transforming Brazil and are being rewarded. Our economy is doing exceedingly well, and most importantly, my god, the population explosion that stems from people migrating to us. If we take a look at the core 3, that is Minas Gerais, Sao Paulo, and indeed Rio de Janeiro, you will find that, well, except Rio de Janeiro, everything here now all of a sudden has a ton of peasants. Oh my god, the migration attraction is down, I will suffer, I will perish, but no, obviously I won't. This just means that I can now massively build up this state and further just emphasize how important it is to Brazil. I am going to be honest with you, I am incredibly excited with how this has gone so far. We have stabilized the monarchy, we have built a forwards and backwards monarchy. You can see it right here, we got more rights for women, we are in a position where, well, you know, still agrarianism, we went back to landed voting, but of course we also have elected bureaucrats and so on. This state is changing, and I wouldn't want it any other way. This does now mean that we are in a transformative period. We are not just asserting a stronger economy at home, I also cleaned up some of our convoys right here. I may have to revisit some of the trade deals that I signed, just because sometimes it's not good if they actually get full access to your market. And I now, for the very first time, want to actually assert our authority over South America. We have big plans in this episode. I'm not sure whether finishing this journal entry right here will be one of them, but I can tell you one thing. We are stable. General Luis Alves de Lima e Silva has been a great friend and an even greater leader of the Conservative Party, making it so that, well, Pedro's projects have been pushed through while at the same time respecting the landowners. Let's not talk about the common man or anything like that, right? Doesn't really matter. I will today, hopefully, finish building up this economy significantly on even more of an agricultural sort of dimension, and then I would like to assert some authority over, for example, Paraguay. Now, this shouldn't be that difficult, but Paraguay and Uruguay are the easy goals that we have to take over the south right here and completely lock down Argentina as well. And oh boy, we now have a lot of historical commanders, and is this the same guy? Joaquim José Ignacio and Joaquim Ignacio? Is this... Are you the same person? You gotta be honest with me. I think it's the same person. Is this also the same person? Are all three of these the same person? They're all brave? What is going on? Well, I guess I'll get this guy. I like this guy. He's pious. Good for him. And you know what? I have to do it. I'm just gonna recruit all of them. This is the triplet factory right here. Perfect. Now what we're going to do right now is actually pass protectionism. It doesn't really change our policy from mercantilism, but I think it is important because it will keep the landowners happy enough to give us Fazenda Ibikawa, and at the same time will give us also Nucleus Coloniae right here, giving us maximum migration attraction unless we were to get the rule fog over 20%, and quite frankly that's impossible. So I'm going to pass this in the hope that it has nothing but positive consequences. Let's see. Oh, I am so sad. The Americans actually got the Hungarians from Austria. That is such a huge wave of migration. Ah, that's a shame. We can only hope that whatever comes for us here will be even better. We are now at 60 migration attraction. That is huge. You love to see it. And as we have new elections, the intelligentsia are getting a new leader. And now I am curious. They do have this historical guy right here. I'm gonna go with the determined but haughty youngster who secures the chair. A centralizer. Oh, I love centralizer. It doesn't actually do all that much for us, except he would really like laissez-faire. Honestly, I don't think we're ever gonna go of agrarianism as long as this monarchy, as long as Pedro II exists. So honestly, he just is kind of an enemy of the state right now. The intelligentsia really isn't that big in our favor, despite being, technically speaking, the faction of Pedro himself. Oof, that is dominance. That is conservative dominance right here. I'm gonna stop suppressing the industrialists. They are abolitionists now. We like that. I do like that the rule folk are very positive here. The landowners have slightly fallen beneath +5, and that is obviously absolutely horrendous, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, with all that being said, I think it is time for our very first relatively big move. And I want to stress here, I haven't modernized the army to any degree. I'm actually going to equip you, Manuel Luis Osorio. Let me look up who he is, but let's put him in here for sure. I haven't modernized the army at all. We don't have skirmish, we don't have any of this. I think I want to teach New Granada a lesson. I want to claim the New Granadine Amazonas, and I want to claim Pastaza. Hopefully, then making it so that I can give it back to Ecuador. No, actually, back to Peru? Either way. Away from New Granada. That's the whole point, right? They are on the market of the French, but they don't have an alliance, and they are allied to Guatemala. Oh, they have an alliance with Mexico now. Oh, Mexico is meddling in my affairs. I need to step up my game. I need way more troops. We need to modernize here. What we can do until then is simply claim Uruguay. They could become a member of our customs union, but you know what? I want to make this a glorious exposition of our army. I want to make sure that all other factions understand that I am not to be trifled with by crushing 3-unit Uruguay. Don't ask about it too much, okay? Don't worry about it. And you know what, quite frankly, I will grant him command. He is now the leader of the Ejército do Amazonas. This is the pretty small army, right? Yeah, I'm gonna... Oh, we have skirmish now. Okay, I'm not gonna change that yet. I'm gonna actually move him into the Ejército Imperial Brasileiro because, yep, then he can fight together with Luis Alves, and that is ultimately the dream. We're only gonna need this one army, I think. We're gonna work with conscripts. I think we should be fine. It's Uruguay. I mean, come on. Oh, but at the same time, the Guarani decided to actually rise up. I'm gonna just go ahead and mobilize a relatively small army for this. This one can surely take care of this. Oh boy, and I'm gonna teach the native Guarani here a lesson. You never should have risen up, my good friend. On the other hand, I think Uruguay, they will learn the lesson pretty quickly. And just for this purpose, our gigantic fleet shall destroy them. Our identical triplets here shall raid their convoys. Let's eat them alive. And there's Pedro. He has only had one battle, and it's just him mopping up what remains after Luis was done. So, well, not exactly honorable, but he did win. What can you say? And oh, brother, this is an incredible get. Bavarian South German, British Maltese, Prussian North German, that is a huge one, and then Ottoman Romanian. Watch this number, okay? You know, it's really true. It's so difficult to make the rule folk happy because they only like awful laws. I tried protectionism, we failed, it didn't go through. But what is the rest here? This is horrid. You want me to close my borders? Look at how many people are coming in. Are you crazy? Oh, and look at that. Yes, Cisplatina. This side of the Platina River. I believe it's like right here, right? This is the Platina River. After we took them over, made them into a protectorate, they got this cute custom name. I like it. All right, and now I think we're going to do the second push for the end of slavery. And I'm not sure whether we will even use the golden law here. I think we might just do it legitimately. The Matter of Slavery is a journal entry that allows us to issue the golden law in the name of course, Isabel. We have established her, she is our heir, everything is great. But if we use it, obviously we are in a position where we will lose progress, and most importantly, it makes the landowners unbelievably angry. If I simply change my government now, and that is going to produce a number of radicals here, don't worry about it too much. If I change my government, we are still legitimate, and the landowners only go to -7. I'm gonna try it here. Let's see what we can do. Quite frankly, can I invite somebody that wants slavery banned as well? Is the good old Sabino still alive? Is he still around? I don't think he is. Okay, fair enough. But I don't even think anybody here is willing to march in the name of anti-slavery. That's ridiculous. Okay, well, listen. Anyway, I'm gonna try to push this through legitimate means. If everything comes crumbling down, we might move on and press this button right here. We'll see. All right, now I think our step number 2 here in terms of expansion is to actually go in for Paraguay. I want to make them into a protectorate as well, and unless we're in good terms with Argentina, give them Corrientes. I think this would make for pretty decent borders, and then the imperial authorities here would essentially have marches, so territories that keep us safe from Argentinian aggression. I'm gonna just go ahead and make them a protectorate. Let's do it. Oh, and oh boy, 1868, Modena has now also fallen into a republic, which means they're not far away from falling into whoever, then actually absorbs them. But much more importantly here, the Sardinians are actually standing up to the Austrians. I'm not sure whether they can pull it off. That is going to be risky, but if they succeed, Italy would actually basically be done. You know, it's actually pretty interesting. We had very, very, very bad industrialists. I mean, technically, being a positivist, it's an amazing role. It's so rare, but for our playthrough here, it was very, very bad. Now, all of a sudden, they are on our side because they are abolitionists. They are so much closer to Isabel and Pedro than the landowners could be. The landowners are now indeed no longer led by a friend. He has passed away. So this shift in power, where we suddenly go and say, you know what, Liberal Party, you should indeed be in a position where you should push something through, that is quite significant. We are yet again actually sort of just pivoting back and forth between the different power sources in this country so that neither side, ultimately directly turns against us. Oh, but oh boy, the Italians are getting completely hammered. This is, good luck to you, pal, but I think you're dying. Brah. And I have actually become a great power. Wait a minute, being a great power, that pushes up Magnanimous Monarch. It pushes it up now to 80%, I want to say, right? Am I incorrect here? Yo, look at that. It actually pushed it to 80%. I might just press this button. It will agitate the landowners further, and I'm not really that interested in that, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we're dominating. This monarchy is safe. And I mean, how could it not be safe? Look at Pedro II completely destroying them. God, I love these little dioramas. Just look at how they fall over as they are losing this battle, and indeed their numbers get thinned out. You can see that they literally get thinned out right in front of our very eyes. I love it. Oh, and now we have a full-on escalation. It looks as though indeed the Germans are declaring their very own war here. Why are the Russians not in this? If they call in the Russians, this is going to be easy peasy, and then we're going to see Germany. The Italians are losing. The Germans might be winning here. I will say, by the way, that I find it poetic that initially we opposed the industrialists, we sided with the rural landowners, and that is exactly what happened historically. We just barely went back to legacy slavery because Pedro II threatened them. Ireneo Evangelista de Sousa right here is in a position where historically he did exactly what is happening now. He was advocating for the free market, he was advocating for liberalization, and he was advocating for, indeed, abolition. But this man will be even more of a hero in this timeline because he secured the monarchy's place, passing all of these reforms that indeed push us further into that direction. I love how we are really pivoting back and forth, and it's just so historical, except with a good ending. Alright folk, Paraguay is now indeed our vassal. I'm going to improve relations because I would like to give them Alto Paraguay. I think this should just be them, maybe even again with Corrientes. And they can be, basically our beautiful vassals down there. Oh, and taming the Amazonia. We've unlocked this. Currently in our possession are vast tracts of pristine, undeveloped Amazonia lands. While some laud its wild beauty, others see not, but an untamed frontier overflowing with rubber, longing for the gentle touch of progress and capital. Take this down. We stand upon the edge of what could be the very lungs of the planet itself. The terrible wonders that might be inside are ours to behold, to conquer, and to subjugate. As Darkest Africa has yielded to... sir, I believe I forgot my pen. Perhaps I could dictate when we return to camp. Imbecile. Bah, use mine. Now, from the top, and do not interrupt. Fortune smiles on the brave. Right. Adds exploiting the Amazon to the Journal of Brazil. I will admit, I haven't looked at this journal entry here too closely. I think we basically want to move with rubber plantations. Okay, that's fair enough. What else do we want to do? We want to research civilizing mission and... Los Altos. Why Los Altos? I have to take a look into this one. Basically, we want to be friendly to a nation so that we can exchange something. We can try and claim Acre if I own Amazonas. Ah, interesting. Ayacucho. This settles the border friction right there. I might have to claim Bolivian Amazonas before we do anything else. Maybe even this right here, New Grenadine Amazonas. This treaty right here, I feel like we're basically just... We need to have better relations with our neighbors that own parts of the Amazon so that we can actually get this done. And until we do that, we should go ahead and build rubber plantations. And, I mean, that is a great idea. The more rubber we get, the more rubber we get. What do you want me to say, right? Oh, and you know what I actually completely missed? The capitalists have built the very first railway in our nation. And it's this one right here. It's not doing so hot, but hey, it's nice to have here. And that just means I need to move up the steam engine production right here. We're obviously gonna, See, there is a significant problem in vanilla where the AI never actually builds railways, but here they do it. And I mean, thank you so much. I'm gonna give you steam engines and all of a sudden we will become a railwayified nation. And look at that. Late, but better late than never. Yep, they are indeed going in for the possessions in the West. Let's see how it goes. Who's the leader here? Abraham Lincoln. Good for them. What's this then? Little by little, rubber barons, local authorities, and elements of the Catholic Church are divided on the best direction to shape the Amazonian peoples of Amazonas. Every argument, however, is rooted in self-interest. Both a husband and a son's hands were struck red. Priests and nuns had brought canes upon the boy for dancing in the halls and reciting the old stories. The patrons and forces believed the man had adulterated the rubber he tapped. If the men of the lash did not work them to death, she thought the men of the single guard would drive their souls to death anyway. We could put them to school. I love the assimilation, don't get me wrong here, but 2% education access is literally nothing. That is just literally nothing. Unmet quota isn't perfect, especially if we're passing slavery banned as we are. Education is distraction. Their hands are for labor, not writing. No, I'm gonna go with we shall make Brazilians of them yet. We want everybody to pull on one string so that we indeed can become one proper Brazil. I could let the French take on my debt. They've offered it to me, and we are in domestic trouble. If there's ever been a time to take, this offer, then I think it's now. I hope they don't pull me into the market. As long as I'm still a great power, I can stay out of it for sure. But we'll see, okay? I don't like that obligation, I can tell you that much. Ooh, they are really hammering Mexico here, huh? And the pact they had with New Granada is gone. I might do it. We are still very hostile towards them. The only problem I should say, is that they are an ally of France. And that is... I don't want to do... Oh, they have a defensive pact now. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them alone. That sucks. That really sucks. Until I have a bigger navy, I can't get involved here. And I gotta say, I am very, very fascinated with this event. Reforms at gunpoint. Mind you, I have not pressed issue the golden law. I haven't done it. I have not done it. At the same time, this revolution is almost brewing and completely destroying us. Slavery ban's still stuck in consideration. It's not going as nicely as I thought it would. And now we have reforms at gunpoint. With revolutionary sentiment boiling over across the nation, Emperor Pedro de Braganza's advisors in the Industrialists have recommended a package of reforms to appease the revolutionaries. The situation is serious. The capital is in a state of anarchy. The government is paralyzed. Transport service and the supply of food and fuel have become completely disrupted. General discontent is growing. There must be no delay. Any procrastination is tantamount to death. Now this is interesting, because they want colonial exploitation. Now I already mentioned that I will give this territory up. I only colonized it to give it to Paraguay. But we currently have frontier colonization. If we were to actually switch to colonial exploitation, well, the whole program where we basically say we want to give money to the landowners that are having their slaves freed would essentially be shifted to Africa. And that is interesting. We would become a genuine imperialistic superpower, well, great power anyway, which we already are, but now even more so, because instead of just exploiting our own territory, we would directly be giving the people that we're currently taking their property away from, which is the landowners and their slaves, new property. And that is right here. So I think I'm going to say industrialists, that's not a bad idea. I'm not surprised, by the way, that the industrialists are suggesting this. I think I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I mean, listen. I don't think he's against colonies. I don't think, at least directly. Is it not a colony to colonize the Amazon? I think it is. He wants to treat these people fairly, but that's a whole different story. Everybody here imagines something different when talking about, of course, the colonization of Africa. I think I might just say we will do it. I will enable colonial exploitation. The industrialists will serve as our greatest defenders against a revolution. Two pops become more loyal. No, I'm gonna go ahead and say, sure, pass colonial exploitation. All we need now is actually this technology, which we're already on the way to getting anyway. And then we're gonna be talking about a Brazilian global empire that is essentially the reparations we will be paying to the landowners. We are not defeating them yet again, we're just making a compromise. And well, what do we now have here? Café com leite. I believe this means just coffee with milk, right? With the growth of Brazilian agriculture, the agrarian planter class has been greatly enriched. This class is exemplified by the coffee and milk barons of Bahia and Minas Gerais, who now seek to expand their influence ever further. It's the last movement of them, I think. You should know that it's less democratic than you think. It's more a matter of choosing which manner of slop we want more, cow pies or burnt coffee. How bad could it be, man? It can't be so bad as choosing between Tories and a rotten borough. Colonels across the states enjoy a great many liberties with their power. They act more as robber barons than as men of enlightenment. As we are now fighting back the landowners, we're getting coffee with milk as a journal entry. Let's take a look at this. The development of the Brazilian agricultural industry has concentrated a great degree of wealth into the hands of the agricultural coffee and milk barons. The recent coffee boom has created great opportunity for growth, but also great risk of concentrated political influence in the hands of the agrarian landowners. The coffee with milk progress bar has reached 0%, so if it completes, through enacting and maintaining a land reform law other than serfdom or tenant farmers. Or the coffee with milk progress bar has reached 100% through enacting and maintaining the serfdom or tenant farmers land reform and maintaining powerful landowners. So we essentially either do collectivized agriculture, which would... I see. So depending on what our land reform laws are, we can either complete it with very strong landowners, we can complete it with very weak landowners, or we can completely annihilate them with collectivized agriculture. I don't think that's gonna happen. So instead, I don't know that I can reform out of this though. We're not using... I think I might be able to do it, right? Slavery ban takes away 1. The problem is Pedro's health will be declining, so we will be losing another point. I desperately need to finish integrating the Brazilian nations. That's it. That's the entire thing. Oh, and if we marginalize the armed forces, hello. They're very happy, but if I marginalize them, I get another Pedro point. I'll have to figure this out, but I think we're doing well. We're gonna ban slavery, and we're gonna go from there. Oh, and now here we have a super cool guy, Luis Gama. Whispers around Sao Paulo mention a new newspaper, Diablo Cocho. This is only one of many publications that self-taught lawyer Luis Gama writes for. A new partnership between a freed slave and a foreign cartoonist have taken the city by storm. Sharp, witty, pleasing to look at, it was destined to ruffle the plumage of every peacock in Sao Paulo. Luis Gama had a great labor ahead of him, no less than the freedom of every slave in Brazil. Listen, buddy, we're getting there. We are getting there. Aristocrats get radicalized, slavery ban pop support for 5 years, popularity goes up permanently. Yeah, I absolutely support you. We have now recognized the threat of agitated landowners against our cause, and we shall react appropriately. And a big part of this is to work with this man. Why wouldn't Pedro respect him? I don't see any reason that Pedro will go, no, you're excluded from my plans. In fact, quite the opposite. And there it is. Slavery ban has passed. We lose 1 point, but that's fine. We're still in a good position. Golden law, golden rose. While Brazil's peculiar institution has seemed untouchable at times, the institution can now at last be considered laid to rest for good. While its impact is surely to be felt for centuries to come, this day calls for celebration as the Pope himself has bestowed upon Isabel de Bragança a golden rose in reverence of Brazil's achievement. A golden rose for a golden act. The sun rises on a new day in a now slave-free Brazil. As word has traveled to Rome and back again, the Pope himself has bestowed 2 golden gifts upon Isabel de Bragança, an auspicious title and a single golden rose to commemorate the Lei Aurea, with slavery now ended and then continued on page 2. It's done. I am so unbelievably happy. It's done. And I am not at 50%. Oh my god, wait a minute. Am I gonna be at 50%? Don't tell me I'm gonna be at 50%, right? We are one nation, one people. Or we go with onwards, from a golden law to a gilded age. Let me just take a look at this. No, I prefer this one. Give me the prestige, just make it sure that I stay a great power. Now the big question is, will you stay at 60%? I think so, right? 60% is where we are right now, unless I'm mistaken. Which in turn obviously means, I don't want to lose another point, because then we would be screwed. We would just be screwed then. Yep. Oligarchical friction. The agricultural oligarchs of the less prominent northeastern state of Maranhão, I haven't built up there at all, have objected strongly to the perceived domination of the Brazilian political system by Bahia and Minas Gerais. That is literally what is happening, by the way. Seems anything we do these days is dictated by Bahia alone. And for what? Coffee? What good is their coffee compared to food, let alone sugar and meat? People are happy to pay for coffee, they aren't for sugar and meat. Besides, what's your point? You take the castaway cows and make shoes. People can survive just fine without shoes. My point is that the Emperor should declare Bahia and Minas Gerais before they overwhelm us. And you would think better of shoes if you had to walk barefoot in the sun, you fool. They should learn to perform better. I don't like that. We cannot have a government at its own throat. So the upper strata perhaps become more radical. Landowners become less important. Political strength decrease of aristocrats is great. I think I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna eat Maranhão, it's fine. I need the landowners to be declared. There is no other way for us here. And you know what I'm gonna do as well? We are absolutely going with public schools. Some people hated the Catholic Church, for example. I don't think this is significant enough. We need assimilation. If we want to build a new nation, this man is completely right. I might even make him the leader, quite frankly, of the intelligentsia, because he is perfectly fit. Oh, right. We can't do that because he's being discriminated against. We need to change the citizenship laws. That is really the lesson that I come now to here. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Oh, and oh my god, this was costly, but it is finally done. The money tree. The successful development of Brazilian agriculture has grown our nation's economy greatly. The fruits of our trade can be seen on every continent, flavoring tea in London and being sipped from steaming mugs in New York. This needs to be more profitable. I had to subsidize everything here because nobody wants to buy it. Just look at this. What is this? Okay, anyway. The latest taxation reports were incontrovertible. Milk and coffee were most, if not all, of the products out of some administrations. Those same taxes and port tariffs were paying for no fewer than 30 Brazilian students abroad, and another 4 science institutes alone. Roads, hospitals, and libraries bought and paid for by cows and coffee. Or rather, the coronels who controlled the trade. I'm not gonna strengthen the landowners. Are you kidding me? I would hate that. No, I'm going to go ahead and say one day we must expand from agriculture. That much is already clear. But finally, I can actually integrate the Paulistas. Oh, and that is beautiful. The Paulista people, the residents of Sao Paulo and the Caipiras of the hinterlands have reconciled with the central government and the growing Brazilian national movement. Oh my god, it is done. And now integrating the Brazilian nation has finally been finished. Brasilidade. Our efforts to cement a single national identity have, after much labor, succeeded. This concept of Brazilianness, this Brasilidade, now stretches across the country. Our lands, our people, are something more cohesive than some pieced-together mosaic. No, the nation all flows together like tributaries pouring into the Amazon. Brazil isn't a mosaic, it is a watercolor. Oh my Brazilian Brazil. For 9 years, assimilation goes up, migration attraction goes up, and prestige grows up. Oh my god, that is beautiful. The migration attraction, I mean, you can see it already. Look at this. The pure madness of migration into our market. This is just gorgeous. How are we doing population-wise? Just look at this. It's so good. And I can finally stop building this nonsense. Yeah, okay, let's cease with the building of this. I have grown tired of the coffee, okay? Now, we are now actually in a position where we have public schooling. And that gives me the idea to ask, how many Brazilians every month? 6,000. This has doubled. This is double the number it was just, for example, like a month ago. And the reason here is obviously public education plus the bonus that we just gained. 6,000 every single week is turning into good old Brazilians. If you take a look at this, yeah, look at that. Afro-Brazilians, they can't actually turn into Brazilians because they're still discriminated. I would love to change that. Look at all these Greeks. Look at all the Bulgarians. So much migration, and now they are all actually turning into Brazilians. God, this is a sight to behold. But we are now at 70%, which means we can be a bit more aggressive yet again against the landowners. In this case, I think we're gonna move off of this, maybe towards census suffrage. And you know what's next. You know what is next. Either commercialized agriculture or homesteading, depending on what we shall do. But one thing is clear, we have broken the landowners without ever directly confronting them. We're giving them some reparations, we have freed the slaves, we have established many plantations, and there's still a lot to come. I have done nothing of this exploiting the Amazon, and I haven't expanded anywhere else yet, but trust me, it is going to come. And speaking of that, we can't restrict you yet. Yeah, we're gonna call it here for today. And next episode, we're going to continue to actually industrialize now for the very first time after we primarily essentially just had a very landowner-oriented industrialization. I mean, look at this, right? The GDP of this location is 21% of our entire GDP. It's gold, wood, tools, coffee. That's it. That is, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We're gonna go ahead and hopefully build the best Brazil that we can. I think our monarchy is now safe. I don't think I need to do anything other than potentially... Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm actually scared again. I don't think I can do naval power in time. I've been positive for so long now, but I don't think we can get it done in time. The problem is I need to marginalize one of them. At least one of them. If we go away from tenant farmers, we're going to lose another point, and that's the issue. Because we lose that point, then we get sick, we're at 50%. We'll see about this, okay? For the time being, I'll leave you right here, and I will see you later. Alligator.